In the final video for this module, I'm going to show you how to set up using bucket encryption with your object store. Now, in order to set this up, the first thing you need to do is you need to configure the object store to talk to MinKMS. On your object store settings page, you're going to use the encryption settings. These settings can be used to configure a number of external key management systems, including HashiCorp Vault or Gemalto or Microsoft Azure. Now, your default selection, of course, is going to be the MinIO Key Manager because that's what we've set up. And you will see in our dropdown, it's already going to be populated with the AI Store managed instances of Key Manager. Let's go ahead and take a look at a demo. Back in our local site, we're going to go ahead and go to our object store. Here in our object store, we're going to want to hit this settings button. Notice there's another settings button here at the top. That's for AI Store in general. So make sure you're hitting the right settings button. If I click on this settings, here on the left-hand side is encryption. And this is talking about how to set up server-side encryption of objects. We're going to enable encryption for the entire server. Now, once we do this, our MinIO Key Manager, which is going to be the default selection, we can select our KMS1 in our AI Store KMS namespace. We have this in a separate namespace so that we can have all of our different object stores and our different KMS instances separated by namespace. It makes it easier for us to manage them. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. When you click Save, this is telling you that your data is going to be encrypted using MinIO Enterprise KMS. You have to confirm this by typing in all caps, confirm. Now, the reason why we want you to confirm this is because as soon as we click enable on this, MinIO is going to start encrypting data settings in the back end before I've even set up encryption on a bucket. So just be aware that once you have enabled encryption, it's going to start encrypting a lot of details. So we go ahead and click enable and we are good to go. Now I'm going to set up encryption on a bucket. The first thing I need to have, of course, is an actual bucket. So the first thing I do is I click Create Bucket. I'm going to name my bucket Test Encrypt. It's a basic bucket. I don't need any special versioning. I don't need it locked or anything like that, but it will have encryption set on it. I'm going to go ahead and click Create Bucket, and I am brought back to the bucket settings page. Now on the bucket settings page, if I want to enable encryption, just keep in mind, it's going to be down here towards the bottom. As you can see right now, by default, there is no encryption applied to this bucket. So if I click on encryption, it's going to say you have not enabled encryption yet. I'm going to go ahead and enable bucket encryption by clicking here. Now, it's going to say, what type of key do you want? Now, in this case, we only have the one type, SSE KMS, because that is the only key type that we have associated with this object store using MinKMS. I do not have a key that I want to use now because I haven't created one yet. So I'm going to create a new key called ENC1. Very simple name. It's just going to allow me to have encryption on this bucket. And once I do this, I'm going to click Save. After I click Save, you can see that it's now going to say encryption has been enabled, and I am going to be using ENC1. If I wanted to change the key at this stage, I could click the drop down and choose a different key. This means that I have now set up bucket encryption, and any objects that I upload to this bucket will be encrypted. But I do not have to use the GUI in order to do all of my bucket encryption. I can do bucket encryption from the command line as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. From the command line, there are many tasks that you can undertake using the MinIO command line client. Here's one. I'm going to go ahead and do an MC admin KMS key list on OS1. That's the object store that I have running. Notice that I have two, ENC1, which I just created, and also the KMS demo OS key. The KMS demo OS key is the root key for the system. This is what your object store is using to encrypt its backend data settings. It's handy to set up a different key for every bucket that you deploy, just so that if you lose the keys for one bucket, you haven't lost all of the data in all of your buckets. I can also check the status of the key. MC admin KMS key status OS1 is the server, and ENC1 is the name of the key that I want to check. I can use this key for both encryption and decryption. So now I can see everything that I want to see there. What about the bucket? If I do an MC encrypt, I can actually query the bucket for info about how it's being encrypted. OS1 test encrypt. I'm using the ENC1 key using auto encryption with the SSE KMS system. So I can now use this as well to create buckets and also assign encryption to them. So I'm going to go ahead and create a bucket, MCMB, OS1, test encrypt 2. Bucket created successfully. Nothing special about this bucket. I'm just going to put some encryption on it. The first thing I'm going to need to do is create a new key, and I can do that from the command line. Now notice when I was setting up encryption on the bucket before, I could create the key and apply encryption at the same time. Here I need to create the key first, and I can create that with a very simple mcadmin KMS key create OS1. I'm going to create a key called ENC2. There we go. That key is now available for me to use on buckets. I'm going to now do a command to do an MC encrypt set. The MC encrypt set command takes the type of encryption, in this case SSE KMS, also the key name and the bucket name that we're going to encrypt. Now I have set up auto encryption configuration on that bucket. Here's the thing. Just because I've enabled encryption doesn't mean that I have anything encrypted yet. The bucket itself doesn't have any data. But let me go ahead and I'm going to copy up a file to an object with a simple mccp command. That simple command is now uploaded to this object, and I can actually get information about the object by doing an mcstat. The mcstat command shows us that my object is encrypted, SSE KMS, using the ENC2 key that I just created. I can still use a different key to encrypt objects. The command is just a little more complicated. I'm going to do an mccp, and I'm going to give it a flag, ENC KMS. And I'm going to give it both the object name that I'm uploading and the key that I want to use to encrypt. So I'm going to use test encrypt 2. I'm going to name the new object sample ENC1, and I'm going to use the ENC1 key to do the encryption. So that's the important part. Now I'm just going to do a copy like I usually do of sample text up to sample1 ENC. Notice OS1 test encrypt 2 sample1 ENC1. OS1 test encrypt 2 sample ENC1 text. It's the same thing twice. But now when I run this, it uploads the file, and if I do a stat on this, I will be able to see that the object is using the ENC1 instead of ENC2. Keep in mind, the previous one that I uploaded, sample, is using ENC2. So even though I have a default encryption set on the bucket, I can use different keys for different objects, so long as the keys are available, that is, in the enclave that is being used by my object store. Since the object is associated with the key in the metadata, I don't have to include the specific key if I want to decrypt. Now remember, this bucket is designed to use ENC2, but I've encrypted this particular object with ENC1. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do an mccat, that is, read me the file. And when I do this mccat, I'm going to give it the ENC1 object. The ENC1 object is encrypted with the ENC1 key. I'm not telling MinIO which key to use to do the decryption. I'm simply going to hit enter. And notice it gives me my decrypted sample text back. That's everything that I want to show you about using keys to encrypt objects in buckets using MinKMS. I hope you've enjoyed this so far. If you'd like to reach out with us, you can connect with us on Slack at slack.min.io, or you can just leave a comment here on the video. Thanks, and we'll see you for the next one.